You're listening to the Mind Fruit Podcast, bringing you health and well-being promotion tools to help you live your best life.
All information discussed on this podcast is research and evidence-based. However, it is ultimately the opinions of the Mind Fruit Podcast, and this is not a substitute for seeking professional medical advice. Hi, I'm Fran.
Hi, I'm Carl.
Today's episode is going to focus on mental health and well-being, what it is and why it is important. The majority of our strategies we are going to introduce will have an episode of their own. However, we will be sharing one or two simple strategies you can use in today's episode.
So well-being, it's the state of being comfortable, healthy and content with yourself and your life. Our well-being influences our ability to cope with daily life and how we react and make our own decisions.
So for example, when we have a negative outlook on our life and spend too much time focusing on the negatives, we can lose motivation and productivity as we put less effort into what we do. Not only can this affect our activities of daily living, such as our self-care and housework, but it can affect our work, our job, and how we perceive it.
It can reduce our ability to cope with stress because we can get caught up with the negative things which are out of our control. This can make any additional stress seem more intense. If you think about it as a snowball, you start off with a little bit of snow, you roll it around, and the more snow you collect, the bigger it gets. When our well-being is taken care of, those little things could seem more manageable.
There are things you can do to promote your mental health and well-being. One of them is doing things you enjoy. Another is actively using strategies which can help you to de-stress or refocus your energy in a more productive way. Now, we are all unique and not all the strategies in this podcast will work for you or be suited to your life or your past experiences, but the majority of them could be adapted to suit you and your lifestyle. Some of them you might not enjoy and don't want to persevere with, but we recommend that you try them with an open mind. If you don't try, you'll never know the impact it could have. While listening to this podcast is a great start, just listening to it will not improve or maintain your mental health and well-being. It's up to you to take responsibility and make the change yourself, if that's what you feel you need.
So, if we're going to be speaking about well-being, let's start off with Maslow's hierarchy of needs. If you imagine a pyramid with 5 different pillars, at the bottom is our physiological needs. These are the basic needs for human survival, such as food, drink, shelter, air, sleep, warmth, clothing and sex. As you can guess, if these needs aren't met, our bodies don't function properly. These are the most important.
Next up on the pyramid is our safety needs. Once our physiological needs are met, our needs for security become most important, as we want more control in our lives. Our safety needs relate to physical safety, being protected from violence, financial safety, employment or income security, health security, having access to healthcare, and safety of residence, being safe and secure where you live.
The next on the pyramid is our needs for love and belonging. This can relate to our needs for social interaction and feelings of belonging. You can meet these through family relationships, friendship, sexual intimacy, relationships, trust, receiving and giving affection, and being part of social groups. The example of this would be the lockdown, how the majority of us have felt a dip in our mental health, and not being able to see our family and friends can leave this really important need unfulfilled. Humans are social beings and we thrive off that interaction.
Next on the pyramid is our esteem needs, and this is our needs for self-esteem, including dignity, independence, confidence and a sense of achievement, and our need for respect from others, including our societal status and the way people view us and treat us.
So, the top of the pyramid is our self-actualization needs. They can also be called our growth needs, and they relate to the needs to become the best version of ourselves that we can imagine. It's usually linked to our ambitions and desires to accomplish them, as well as becoming skilled in our hobbies and interests.
It's important to realise that our life constantly changes. Unexpected things can happen and we have to readapt our life to these changes. Therefore, we will move up and down the scale as these challenges and changes are presented to us. And this is normal and okay. Our needs are all different and one person may find more value in one of these sections than others, and that's okay too. We don't have to be disappointed if we're not in the self-actualization section. We are all in different circumstances and environments which influences our needs.
One thing we noticed, and we've been talking about it between us, it's the lack of identification to where spirituality, religion, or cultural beliefs fit into this scale. We think it could fit into quite a few of these layers, but we can't decide on where it should be. If you have an opinion on where the pyramid it would fit, please let us know your thoughts in the comment section.
Now we have identified what our needs are, it's important to realise we do not have control over all of these aspects, but there are certain aspects that we can influence. It's so easy to neglect our health and well-being needs in the times where we feel stressed or don't have much time, or when we feel we can't make a difference and it just is what it is. But we should be proactive in making sure we give ourselves the best opportunity to have our needs met by making a more conscious choice.
So the thing I want to talk about is a major thing that could contribute to better mental health and well-being is congruency. It means matching up with what you're thinking and feeling with what you do in your life. If you're doing what resounds and resonates with you, then it's much easier to live life your own way. An off-topic example is when you follow a diet and somebody else tells you what you can and can't eat. You're not going to be fully into it. If you make your own plan and give yourself allowances, then that lifestyle change will be a lot more sustainable. I think a lot of people can relate to this. It's making waves in society where people are challenging the expectation of what people think you should do and what you actually want to do yourself.
Yeah, like training yourself to become more intuitive or listening to your own desires, needs and wants, which are helpful and which are not.
Yeah, like some of the things we can do are based on what we're conditioned to do from external sources, such as advertising, focusing on the things that you lack in your own life instead of thinking about the things that you actually do have to be grateful for.
One of the things that Carl and I have recently been doing is called a gratitude diary. This has made us feel so much more optimistic and positive in general.
If we think about this as flipping the script and being able to keep your mind positive throughout most of the day, this is a very simple hack. Try this out. A daily routine of writing down the things you're grateful for, just 3 a day. In a week, you'll have 21, and in a month, you'll have 84. So if you ever feel bad about your life, you can read through in your own words at all the good you have in your life.
So in the last episode we touched on balance. This is important for our well-being in general. We personally speak about hobbies and interests a lot because that's our point of reference.
I feel good if I'm writing songs or getting creative.
I feel good if I'm colouring, watching someone play video games on Twitch, or sleeping.
I want to point out that everyone's different and you'll find whatever works for you. Some people get their fix from the work they put in, hustling and pushing through boundaries. When they feel like they don't have anything left to give, then their day is done. Some of these do it because they're workaholics and love the stress, no rest for the wicked kind of mentality. Some people will just not stop until their goals are hit. Some are hoping that this will be rewarding in the future so they can lay back and reap the rewards in later life.
Some people get their well-being from going to work and take pride in this, and that can give them fulfillment. Some need a mix. Some people will do the least possible work in the least amount of time so they can spend more time on their hobbies and interests.
That sounds like you.
Yeah, that's definitely me.
Going back to the pyramid, people can value their family time more, and some people can enjoy their physiological needs more. That can be your self-actualization as well. All of these needs can interlink. Do whatever works for you. You can't do it wrong. Some people run off a huge amount of stress where others can't. It's just when you continue on one side of the spectrum for too long, you need a break. It's about identifying when you need that break before things become toxic. When people do too much of one thing, it can lead to them losing interest or just straight up burnout.
Practices such as mindfulness can help you to let go or even just have a few seconds of peace at work. For example, consciously controlling your breathing using the square breathing technique. Try this. Breathe in for 4 seconds, hold for 4 seconds, breathe out for 4 seconds, and hold for 4 seconds, and repeat. You can repeat this as many times as needed. Next week's podcast is on mindfulness, so make sure you check it out if you think this topic could be useful for you. Or even if you don't, you might find some of the mindful strategies we'll be discussing are different to your perceptions of mindfulness. There are so many you've probably never heard of.
Before we go, we're going to introduce another strategy you could use called a Soothe Box. This is a box full of things personal to yourself for you to go to and use when you feel a dip in your mental health or you need some comfort.
You can create a Soothe Box in different ways. You can make a mental note of the things which you have identified to go in your Soothe Box, write down on a piece of paper the things you have identified, or you can create a physical Soothe Box. Grab a box and chuck all the things you love in it.
When choosing what to put in your Soothe Box, it would be good to put something in to engage all 5 senses. So, something you can taste, could be chocolate or food, something you can see, could be a photograph which reminds you of something positive, or a DVD to watch. Something you can hear, this could be again a DVD or CD. Something you can feel, this could be a soft teddy or fidget toy that you like the feel of, or something you can smell. This could be essential oils or a candle. Some people can go back to childhood and get something they really loved as a child.
If there is anything you want to put in the box but it cannot physically fit, such as PlayStation, a bike, a guitar, or something to do like go for a walk, you can create reminder cards. This can be useful when feeling anxious or distressed, when we can't always think clearly. The reminder cards does the thinking for you. So does the Soothe Box. You can add to it or change your Soothe Box as your interests or comforts change over time.
I hope you enjoyed this episode. It's been a taster on well-being and some of the strategies you can apply to your own life. To get more of this content, hit that subscribe button. And if you're watching on YouTube, ring that bell. It'll notify you every time we upload. Next week's episode, we'll be talking about mindfulness. Thank you for listening, and if this information was valuable to you or you think it might be for somebody else, like, comment or share.
Check out our weekly blog on mind-fruit.co.uk. We hope to see you next week for Wellbeing Wednesday.